Okay, so you're there, new class, new job, maybe just meeting someone new, and then you hear it, those 5 little words. Tell me about yourself.
Oh, yeah. It sounds so simple, right? But it can really make people freeze up.
Totally. Instant panic mode, but honestly, it's such a huge chance to connect.
It really is. It's kind of the first gate you walk through in any new interaction.
Right.
And while a lot of people fumble it, they either just list off resume points or, clam up.
Right.
But for anyone listening who really wants to build connections fast and share knowledge, getting this right, it's absolutely key.
Exactly. So we've looked at some really great source examples, these detailed introductions from Paul and Emily. They basically give us a fantastic blueprint. Our mission today isn't just to, read their answers. It's to pull out the strategy behind them. What are the essential pieces? And maybe more importantly, how do you pick the right pieces for the situation?
Yeah, the selection filter. That's crucial.
Okay, let's unpack this. So first things first, the absolute basics. You got to start somewhere, right?
Right. The foundation. Name, where you're from, maybe your age, what you do for work or study, your living situation. Easy stuff.
But even here, the sources we looked at were smart. They used these basic facts to paint a picture almost immediately.
They did. Take Paul. He's 28, an English teacher from Canada. Okay, standard enough. But then lives in a small town, small house with a garden. You instantly get a feeling, right? Kind of quiet, stable.
Yeah, measured, calm, maybe. And then there's Emily. She's 25 from the U.S. and an art student.
Big difference already. She loves drawing and painting, finds it fun, creative. That passion comes through.
And her setting matches that energy. Big city, busy, noisy, lives in a small apartment there.
So right away, even with just those 5 basic facts, the source material sets up this contrast. Are you leading with stability, like Paul, or with passion and creativity, like Emily?
That's a great way to put it. Your basic facts aren't just facts. They're the first brushstroke.
Exactly. They place you somewhere.
Okay, so foundation laid. What's next for building that connection quickly? The sources seem to move towards family and pets.
Yeah, and I think that's strategic. These topics, family and pets, they build warmth, they make you relatable, more human.
It feels less like an interview question then, maybe.
Precisely. It's lower stakes than diving straight into deep personal stuff, or even just hobbies sometimes. Look at Paul. He has a younger sister, Sarah, who studies music, plays piano.
Okay.
His mom's a writer, dad's a doctor. It paints a picture of maybe a thoughtful, established kind of family background.
Right, you get a sense of his environment. And Emily?
Emily's got an older brother, Tom, who's 29. Her mom teaches little kids, so education again, but different. And her dad, he's a chef.
Oh, interesting. That's a good detail. Works in a restaurant, cooks at home. That's relatable and a bit distinctive.
It is. And then the pets. This is where personality shorthand really comes in. Paul's a dog person.
Okay, classic.
Got a dog named Max. Small, brown, friendly, and funny. You immediately picture this active, engaging companion.
And Emily, let me guess.
Cat person, absolutely. Her cat's Luna. Black and white, very quiet and sleepy.
Huh. So, Max and Luna, that's like a fundamental divide in the universe right there. Dog people versus cat people.
The source definitely used that deliberately. Max signals that sort of loyal outward energy. Luna suggests something more like elegant independence, calmness.
So it's not just, I have a dog. It's, I have this kind of dog, and it hints at your kind of personality.
Exactly. It's a hook, a subtle one.
Okay, so we've got the basics, the family, the furry friends. Now we get into the really interesting stuff, right? Likes, dislikes, hobbies.
Yeah, this is where you can really show your specific flavor, your personality. These are the details that make you memorable.
And these are probably the things you adjust most depending on who you're talking to, I imagine.
Absolutely. You edit these heavily. Let's look at food, for example. Quick way to show preference. Paul likes pizza, specifically vegetable pizza, tomatoes, peppers, onions.
Healthy-ish pizza guy.
Right. But his big NO is olives. He does not like olives.
Okay, noted. And Emily.
Emily loves pasta. That's her number one. She likes pepperoni pizza too, so a bit different from Paul. But her strong dislike, spicy food, very hot food is out.
Interesting. So these aren't just random facts. They set boundaries. They show taste.
Exactly. And they're instantly relatable or, create a point of difference. Same with colors. Paul likes blue like the sky, he says. A calm color.
Fits the garden vibe.
Totally. Emily likes green, like grass, trees in a garden, the color of nature. Again, you see that slight thematic difference, calm stability versus maybe growth in nature.
Yeah, that's consistent. And their favorite animals follow the pet theme, right?
They do. Paul loves dogs loyal and friendly. Emily loves cats elegant and independent. It reinforces that initial impression.
Okay, but let me push back a little here. We know why Emily likes cats, but mentioning you hate olives or don't like spicy food, couldn't that sometimes shut down a conversation avenue if the other person loves olives?
That is a really sharp point. And yeah, it could. I think the sources use them maybe to provide contrast, to make the person seem more defined. But you're right, if your goal is pure connection, maybe you skip the dislikes unless they're really funny or lead to a good story.
Yeah, maybe focus on the positives, like hobbies.
Right. Hobbies are great conversation starters. Emily, the art student, paints every weekend, says it helps her relax, and she reads storybooks, especially adventure stories.
Okay, fits your creative profile. Paul, he seemed more reserved.
But here's a nice contradiction. Paul listens to old rock music.
Oh, didn't expect that from the quiet garden guy.
Exactly. It adds a layer. And he plays sports soccer with friends on Saturdays, so he's got this active, maybe slightly edgier side too.
That combination is good. Rock music and soccer. Gives him some range.
Definitely. But they do find common ground. They both love watching movies, especially comedies.
Can't go wrong with laughing.
Right. Emily also adds animated movies, likes the imagination, the beauty. So even in their shared interests, there's a slightly different emphasis.
Okay, so we have this huge list now. All these potential building blocks from Paul and Emily. But you can't just list all of that, can you?
Oh, absolutely not. That would be overwhelming. And honestly, pretty boring to listen to.
Right.
This brings us to maybe the most critical piece of advice from this whole deep dive. You have to tailor it. You need that selection filter.
This is the so what part. You have the ingredients. Now, how do you cook the meal for the right occasion?
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture.
Context is everything. That's the biggest mistake people make. They treat tell me about yourself like they're reading their biography.
Instead of using it as a tool.
Exactly. It's a conversational tool. You have to ask yourself, okay, what's my goal here? Am I trying to sound knowledgeable, friendly, build curiosity, find common ground? That dictates what you share.
Okay, let's make this practical. Give us some scenarios, like scenario 1. You need a super quick snapshot, 5 seconds. Elevator pitch, quick coffee meet. What do you pick?
High contrast, low commitment stuff. The memorable quirk. Paul shouldn't lead with, I'm an English teacher. Too dry. He should lead with something like, I'm into dogs and old rock music, but can't stand olives. It's short, memorable, a bit unexpected.
Okay, I like that. Emily
could say, I love cats and pasta, but seriously, don't ask me to wake up early. Boom. Instant personality. Shows her energy level, a relatable dislike. Keep it simple.
Got it. Simple and punchy.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario 2. More formal, a new class, maybe a professional networking thing. You need a bit more credibility.
Right. Here, you lean into name, origin, role, and maybe a hint of motivation. Paul would say something like, I'm Paul from Canada. I teach English, and I really enjoy helping people, unlock language. Focus on the role and positive intent.
Okay, less court, more competence.
Exactly. Emily would say, I'm Emily from the U.S. I'm an art student, currently exploring mentioned specific area if relevant, and I just love the creative process. Again, focus on the study, the passion for the field. Pets and pizza, stay out for now.
Makes sense. Scenario 3, social stuff. A party, meeting new people casually. Goal is connection, maybe friendship.
Here, hobbies are your best friend. They invite follow-up questions. Emily could lead with, Hi, I'm Emily. I really love painting. I try to do it every weekend, and I'm always looking for good adventure book recommendations.
Nice. 2 clear hooks for someone to grab onto. Oh, what do you paint? Or have you read?
Precisely. Paul could say, Hey, I'm Paul. Big fan of old rock music, and I usually play soccer with some friends on Saturdays. Again, open doors for conversation.
Okay, one more I can think of. What about introducing yourself in writing? Like email or a forum post. Needs to be concise but intriguing.
Ooh, good one. That needs maximum impact, minimum words. This is where that one single, slightly surprising detail works wonders. Emily could write, Hi, I'm Emily, an art student living in the city. My dad's actually a professional chef.
Ah, the chef detail.
Yes. It's unique, it grounds her, it makes you curious, it's an anchor statement that isn't just about her studies. It makes her more three-dimensional instantly.
That's really smart. So the big takeaway from the sources seems to be that this question, it's not scary. It's not a test you pass or fail.
Not at all. It's an invitation. That's the key word the source material hits on. An invitation to share, to start a conversation. It's like the conversational handshake.
Leads to friendship, networking, learning. You're basically setting the tone for the next few minutes of interaction.
And you're in control of that tone by choosing which parts of yourself you highlight. That's strategic editing. Choosing those 2 or 3 high-impact nuggets, that's the secret.
So listeners now have the full checklist, pretty much.
Yes.
Name, place, age, job, family, pets, hobbies, likes, dislikes.
The whole inventory. But crucially, they also have the idea of the contextual filter, how to pick the right pieces for the right moment.
Fantastic. So we've covered the whole spectrum, from that solid foundation to the little surprising quirks.
And remember, how you say it matters too. Keep whichever answer you choose fairly concise. Be friendly. And honestly, a smile or just sounding open and confident when you share those details makes a huge difference.
Yeah, owning those chosen details. It really is about presenting that curated slice of yourself with confidence. So what does this all mean? We've seen how just one detail, Paul's rock music, Emily's dad being a chef, can kind of define someone in that first moment and kickstart a real conversation.
Definitely.
So here's a challenge for everyone listening. If you had to pick just one single detail about yourself, maybe something surprising, maybe slightly contradictory, to introduce yourself and spark a deeper conversation, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, think about it. What's the one nugget that really captures a key part of you but maybe isn't obvious? Practice sharing just that one thing. See what happens. Okay, let's unpack this. If I ask you, tell me about yourself, what's the first thing you say?
Right. Probably your name, where you live, maybe your job, the basics.
Exactly. The facts, the sort of data points. But if you really want to be memorable, if you want to create, an engaging personal story that actually sticks with people, you have to go deeper than that surface stuff.
That is absolutely our mission today. We've looked at material from these advanced learner studios, focusing entirely on how to describe yourself comprehensively.
Right.
We're trying to give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut, a framework to articulate, your depth.
It's not just about introducing yourself, is it?
No, not at all. It's about communicating what kind of person you are, doing it in a way that, opens doors, whether that's at work or just meeting new people.
Yeah, because when you share a bit more, your character, your depth, you stop being just like a job title or a name tag.
You become a real person, someone people actually want to connect with and remember.
So logically, we should start with, the inner stuff, right? Let's start with personality. It's not really enough to just say, oh, I'm good. We need those active descriptive words.
Yeah, the source material highlighted some really good ones. Creative, friendly, patient, energetic.
Optimistic, curious, those kinds of things. These traits are sort of the engine behind how you act day to day.
And what's really interesting here, I think, is the idea of using imperfection strategically.
Okay.
Listing positive traits is, foundational, but the strategy suggests that being authentic, showing you're human, is incredibly connecting. So it can actually be beneficial to mention things you're consciously working on.
Wait, hold on. I have to challenge that a bit. If I'm in a job interview and I say, I'm a little forgetful sometimes, but I'm working on it, isn't that just going to sink my chances?
That's the crucial nuance, isn't it? You don't just drop a weakness out there. You have to demonstrate insight and, importantly, progress. So instead of just, I'm forgetful, you frame it.
Yeah.
Like, I recognize that sometimes I can get, bogged down by detail, so I've actually implemented this really rigorous color coding system for my deadlines. See?
Okay. So you've acknowledged a potential issue.
Right.
But immediately shown you're competent in managing it.
Exactly. It makes you human, relatable, and crucially, self-aware, not just flawed.
Okay, I get that. The connection comes from the maturity in handling it, not the flaw itself. That actually moves things forward.
Precisely. And then once we've got a handle on personality, we need to look at values. These are like the bedrock.
Maybe core principles.
Yeah. Talking about what you truly value helps the other person understand why you do what you do, the motivations behind it all.
Things like family, kindness, honesty, the material mentioned, learning, friendship, health too.
But the real advice here, the actionable bit, is to get past the generic list. Anyone can say they value kindness.
True. What if your values seem to conflict? Like, say you really value health. You need your 8 hours sleep, exercise. But you also value career success, which, let's be honest, often means long hours, maybe travel.
That tension is actually narrative gold. If you can explain how you navigate that conflict.
For example.
Like, look, I really value career success, but my primary value is actually my health. That's why I'm pretty aggressive about protecting my evenings and weekends.
Right.
That shows clarity. It shows you can set boundaries, you're committed to your principles. It tells the listener who you really are, much deeper than just listing health as a value.
Right. They think, okay, this is someone thoughtful. They know their limits, their priorities.
Exactly. That's the kind of insight that actually sticks with people. It's not just what you claim, but how you live within the friction between those claims.
Oh.
Okay, so once we have that foundation personality, values, we start building the narrative arc.
The story of you.
Kind of, yeah. This arc shows the listener, where you've been, your background, who you are now, your skills, and where you're heading, your goals. It gives context to everything.
Right. So let's look forward first. Dreams and goals. And there's a difference, right? Between the big dreams and the smaller, more immediate goals.
Definitely. The material gave some great examples. A big dream, the kind that shows your long-term passion, might be something like, Paul's example was traveling the world to teach English in different countries like Japan and Brazil.
Okay, that shows a big vision, cross-cultural interest.
Or Emily's, having an art gallery to show my own paintings but also help mentor other young artists. That shows personal talent and a community focus.
And then you balance that big dream with something more immediate, maybe smaller, like learning Spanish to communicate better with my neighbors.
Yes, that shows you're grounded, you're focused on your current situation too.
And the key is explaining why these goals matter.
Absolutely crucial. Don't just say you want to open an art gallery, explain why. Maybe it's because you felt discouraged as a young artist and you want to give others the platform you didn't have.
That connection shows purpose, forethought. It's not just a whim.
Exactly. Now, let's flip the lens. Look backwards. Connecting your past, your experience to the present. This is obviously vital in professional settings.
Job interviews, yeah.
And it's not just listing facts like where you studied or when you graduated. It's about framing them so they're relevant now.
Like transferable skills.
Precisely. The material mentions someone who worked in a bookstore for a year after uni, then went into teaching.
Okay. Seems unrelated.
If you just list bookstore clerk, yeah, it is. But if you frame it, actually, working at that bookstore was where I truly learned patience. Dealing with tricky customers, unexpected stock problems. It taught me adaptability and a kind of customer service skill set that turned out to be incredibly useful for managing a complex classroom.
Wow, okay. Yeah. You just turned a gap year job into a direct qualification for teaching. That's the narrative magic right there.
It really is. It shows how all your experiences build who you are now. Even things from way back, like high school drama club.
Sure, public speaking, thinking on your feet.
Exactly. And to make all this background, this narrative, really stick, you need stories, anecdotes.
They're not just fluff.
Not at all. They're emotional anchors. They make the information memorable.
So why does telling a story work better than just saying, like, I'm determined? Why is the story of climbing Mount Rainier better?
Because a story makes the listener feel it with you. When you talk about that tough 2-day climb, the struggle, the cold, the eventual success, and then you say, that trip taught me I was much stronger than I thought.
Ah, okay. You've delivered determination as an experience, not just a label.
Exactly. The listener feels it. Or that other story, winning the art competition at 15 against 500 people with a painting of a grandparent's garden.
Yeah, that immediately shows early talent, passion, and the specific moment that maybe solidified the career path.
Right. And the key thing, the material really stresses this. The story needs to be meaningful, it needs to be short, and you have to clearly state what you learned. Don't make them guess the point.
Got it. Be clear.
Okay, this brings us to what we might call the golden rule, customization. The core information about you might stay the same, but how you frame it has to change based on the situation.
Right. Formal for work, casual for a party, maybe friendly, but focused for a specific group or class.
Exactly. Let's do a quick contrast. Imagine you're meeting a new coworker at the company holiday party versus being in a formal interview for a promotion. Very different context.
Totally different goals.
In that job interview, your goal is clear. Sell your skills, your potential. You'll prioritize the professional stuff. I've got 5 years in education, a master's in English Lit. Colleagues know me for being patient and creative. And here's exactly why those specific traits will benefit this school. You're presenting yourself as the solution.
Okay, very direct, very targeted.
But at the casual party, your goal is connection, maybe just making small talk.
Yeah, you start light. Oh, hey, I know Sarah, the host, because we bonded over our terrible taste in 80s sci-fi movies. Something like that.
Right. Share something interesting but low stakes. Maybe a hobby related to the neighborhood. I love walking my dog around here. And then...
Crucially, You turn it back to them.
Instantly. Make it a two-way street. I live just a few blocks away. How about you? How do you know, Sarah?
You're starting a dialogue, not giving a presentation.
That's the critical difference, isn't it? A great intro is like a loop, inviting response, not just a straight line of information.
Perfectly put. A loop, not a line.
Now, we also have to touch on modern intros, online stuff. How does this narrative arc idea work on, say, LinkedIn versus some random online forum? Good question. For professional networks like LinkedIn, you want to be really focused on skills, passion, ambition. Your summary should be proactive, looking forward. Creative arts student actively seeking opportunities to collaborate with emerging artists on urban revitalization projects. Very specific, very goal-oriented.
Okay. And what about like a hobby group?
Yeah.
An online soccer forum, for instance?
There, it's more about authenticity and just being accessible. Focus on your enthusiasm, maybe your experience level. Hey everyone, been playing soccer for about 10 years, mostly midfield, but honestly just here for fun. Happy to help organize matches or give beginners some pointers.
So you establish your place in that community straight away. Friendly, experienced, but not intimidating.
Exactly. And across all online interactions, we really need to hammer home the privacy warning. The source material was very clear on this.
Yeah, super important.
Absolutely. You're crafting your narrative, but you absolutely must control your security. Never, ever share your full home address, detailed financial info, or too many really intimate personal details, especially with people you don't know or on public forums.
Keep it safe. Limit identifying info to what's actually necessary for the connection you're trying to make.
Right. Be smart about it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about what to do. Let's talk about what to definitely avoid. Pitfalls. And the first big one, the one that could just ruin a great start, is probably talking too much.
Oh, absolutely. Poor pacing. The time recommendations are there for a reason, maybe 30 seconds for a quick casual intro, perhaps 2 minutes max, for a professional overview in an interview context.
Why is talking too much so bad?
Well, you just monopolize the conversation. It signals you're not really aware of the other person's time or, frankly, their interest level. It's much better to leave them wanting to ask a follow-up question.
Than wishing you'd just stop talking.
Yeah.
I get that.
Exactly. The second huge mistake, and this one can just destroy your credibility instantly, is lying or exaggerating.
Right. Don't say you're fluent in 5 languages if you only know how to order a coffee in 5 languages.
Precisely. Honesty is always, always safer. If you get caught in a lie, even a small one, it doesn't just discredit that specific claim. It casts doubt on everything else you've shared, even your genuine achievements.
If you're worried you don't sound interesting enough.
Go back to section 2. Work on framing your real experiences, your real stories. That's the authentic way to be interesting. Don't invent things.
Makes sense. And then there are the pitfalls around culture and nonverbal stuff. This is where things can get really tricky.
They really can. Take bragging, for instance. In North America, especially professionally, it's generally okay to mention your accomplishments. But even then, you need to temper it with humility.
How so?
Like saying, yes, I won that award, but honestly, the real credit goes to the amazing team I worked with. That balances the achievement.
But that balance is different elsewhere.
Yeah, dramatically different sometimes. In some Asian cultures, for example, humility is valued so highly that people might deliberately downplay major successes. So if you're interacting across cultures, you need to be really sensitive. Should your self-description be assertive or should it be more understated?
Knowing your audience is key.
Always. Age is another one. In some cultures, age commands significant respect, so mentioning it might be relevant or at least acceptable. In others, it's seen as irrelevant or maybe even private. Again, context dictates.
And then there's body language. Some of it feels universal, but maybe some is culturally specific too. Either way, bad body language can just kill your intro, regardless of your words.
Totally. Standing straight, keeping an open posture, definitely avoiding crossed arms. That's almost universally read as defensive or closed off.
Right.
And that little trick for a natural smile, thinking of something genuinely happy, your pet, pizza, whatever works.
Yeah.
That subtle, genuine warmth is immediately disarming. It makes a difference.
And for virtual introductions, we should mention the camera thing again. Look at the camera lens, not at your own face on the screen. That creates eye contact.
Crucial. If you're looking down or at yourself, you just look disengaged. Good lighting, non-distracting background, those complete the professional picture online.
Okay. And finally, maybe the most crucial skill that comes after a good introduction, remembering the other person's name.
Oh, so important. Repeat their name right after you hear it. Great to meet you, Sarah. Use it maybe once or twice naturally in the conversation, and trying to create an association.
Like Paul the Mount Rainier climber.
Exactly. Whatever helps it stick. And look, if you do forget, it is infinitely better to just apologize politely and ask again, I'm so sorry, could you remind me of your name? Than to guess and get it wrong. Or just avoid using their name altogether.
Shows respect, even when you admit you forgot.
Definitely. So yeah, the core steps we've synthesized are customize for context, bring in personality and the real tension of your values, be authentic, share a memorable story with a clear lesson, and back it all up with good, open body language.
Now remember, everyone gets nervous with introductions. Even the most seemingly confident people. The effort you make to speak and connect, especially if it's not your first language, is almost always appreciated.
Yeah, people are generally understanding. At the end of the day, the narrative of your life, your experiences, your perspective, that's the most compelling story you have.
And think about it. Every friend you have now was once a stranger. Every opportunity, every connection started with those first words, that first impression.
So embrace that moment. Go out there and share your unique story, your depth. It's an opportunity to connect. Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, think about this. If your usual self-introduction is, maybe a mumbled name, a kind of vague job title, and then awkward silence, well, you are definitely in the right place today.
Yeah, we're moving way beyond the basics here.
We really are. Our source material today is packed with advanced techniques. And our mission, it's to take your standard greeting, that everyday hello, and help you transform it into something powerful, lasting, and genuinely authentic, like a personal branding statement.
Exactly. We really need to stop thinking of an introduction as just, something you have to do. It's an immediate opportunity. We've pulled together concepts covering structured narratives, delivery psychology, and even that really complex skill, cultural code switching. And this isn't just about sounding polished, right? It's about controlling your narrative, making sure you are understood, truly understood, no matter who you're talking to.
That's the key, isn't it? Gaining that knowledge quickly, but thoroughly. We want to help you find those aha moments that can really turn nervous energy into, networking brilliance. So let's unpack this whole methodology. Where should we start? Maybe the foundation, the architecture of impact.
Perfect place to start. Look, every professional really needs to master the elevator pitch.
The classic elevator tip.
Right. Defined basically as a short, memorable intro, should last about 30 seconds, roughly the time of a short elevator ride. It's absolutely the cornerstone of quick professional communication.
30 seconds. That's a really tight window. You can't just wing it, can you?
No, definitely not. And the analysis looking at really high-impact introductions, it shows 5 key components that just have to be there to maximize effectiveness.
5 components. In just 30 seconds. That sounds like you'd be talking incredibly fast, almost reading.
It sounds like it, yeah. But if you structure it right, it actually sounds quite natural. Think of it like a narrative stack. First, who you are. Second, what you do. Third, and this is crucial, your unique value, your differentiator.
What makes you different? Got it.
Fourth, your achievement or credibility. Something concrete. And finally, number 5, your belief or your mission, your vision. Now, if you miss number 3 or 4, you just sound generic, like anyone else.
Right.
And if you miss number 5, that vision piece, you lose the chance to connect on a deeper values level.
That makes a lot of sense. That belief or vision part, it really elevates it, doesn't it? It turns a job description into, a passion.
Exactly.
But the source material stresses practicing until the ideas flow smoothly, not just memorizing the words. What's the real difference there?
Well, think about it. Rote memorization, it completely fails the second someone interrupts you or asks a quick follow-up question.
Yeah, you freeze up.
Right. But practicing the flow of ideas means that whatever version of the question you get, what do you do? Or maybe tell me about your latest project. You can naturally hit those 5 key points. And you won't sound like a robot reading a script.
Okay, so flexibility comes from knowing the core ideas. Now, moving from structure to the actual content, we have to talk about storytelling. Probably the most powerful tool in communication.
Oh, absolutely. We all know that saying, right? Facts tell, but stories sell. And this is where you stop using those empty adjectives. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm determined, you tell a quick story that shows determination.
Yeah.
You want the listener to reach that conclusion themselves.
Okay, showing, not telling. But that needs really quick, efficient framing. Which brings us to the STAR method. That gives a clean framework, right, for maybe a 20, 30-second story.
Precisely. STAR. So S is the situation. Just set the scene briefly.
Okay.
T is a task. What needed to be done? What was the challenge?
Right.
Then comes A, the action. And this is the crucial step, the one people often get wrong. It's not just general activity.
Like I manage the project.
Exactly. It's about what you specifically did. Your unique contribution. Let's take an example. Say you were managing a project budget.
Okay, so most people might say, I handled the budget for the new launch. Kind of passive.
Right. But a strong star action sounds more like, I spotted 3 inefficient spending channels in the first week. So I developed and integrated a new real-time tracking dashboard. That cut our overhead by 15%. See the difference?
Wow, yeah. Very specific. Strategic, precise, shows initiative.
Exactly. And finally, R is the result, the quantifiable outcome, and just as importantly, what it revealed about you. In that example, the result, 15% saving.
And the reveal that you're analytical, proactive.
Bingo. That depth is what turns a basic introduction into something truly memorable. A profile, not just a name tag.
Okay, so we've built this great structure. We have the story technique, but what happens when, life throws a curveball, that structure gets hit by something unexpected?
Ah, yes. We need a defense strategy because introductions often lead straight into that awkward zone or even the invasive zone.
Yeah, we're talking about those questions everyone dreads, right? It's, why'd you leave your last job? Or what about this gap in your resume? Or even really personal stuff.
Definitely. For career gaps or sudden job changes, the strategy is always positive reframing. You have to control the language.
Okay.
Never use negative terms. So reframe unemployed as maybe I took a strategic period to develop new skills and get certified in X.
Right. Focus on growth.
Exactly. Or if you were let go, don't frame it as personal failure. Maybe it wasn't the right organizational fit, actually. And that gave me the clarity to discover my real passion for why. It's always about using the past to launch your future.
That's a great way to put it. And for those really invasive personal questions, like salary or marital status, the sources suggest using positive boundary statements. I like the idea of polite redirection. What works best there?
It generally relies on a bit of grace, maybe some humor. For salary questions, you could offer a firm but positive boundary like, I prefer to keep compensation details private, but I can definitely tell you I'm really focused on growth opportunities right now.
Okay, firm but polite.
And the best redirection pivots right back to the shared topic or maybe the organization's goals. For really personal questions, sometimes light humor is fantastic. Whoa, that sounds like a question for date 3, not introduction 1. But hey, I'd love to tell you about this project I'm working on.
Yeah, that pivot is so important. Okay, so we've covered defense. Now let's talk about proactively tailoring the message. Audience adaptation. Or style flexing, as the sources call it.
Crucial. Absolutely crucial.
Because an intro designed for, say, a bottom-line focused exec is going to completely flop with someone focused on team spirit, right?
Totally. Reading your audience is key. You have to adapt the same core message so it resonates with different personality types. The sources highlight 4 main types. Let's use an example. Say you created a new trading module.
Okay, good example. How do we pitch that achievement to analytical people?
They want data. Cold, hard facts. Yes. So you lead with the numbers. I designed a new module. It reduced training time by 25% and increased compliance scores by 10 points. Facts. Figures.
Clear. And what about for emotional people?
For them, it's all about the feeling, the connection, the impact on people. So you focus on the human side. I just love seeing the relief on our new employees' faces. This module helps them feel supported and confident right from day one. It's really boosted our team culture.
Makes sense. Feeling focused. Next up, visual people. They need a mental picture.
Exactly. Paint a picture with your words. Don't just say training. Say something like, we replaced that dense manual with this interactive, colorful mind map system. It lets our team navigate complex processes visually, almost like following a GPS.
Oh, I like that. Vivid. Okay, and finally, action-oriented people. They just want results, efficiency.
Yeah, get straight to the point. Emphasize speed, completion, results. Look, I developed a streamlined 4-step training path, guarantees faster onboarding, immediate productivity gains. It's all about the quick win.
Wow. So the same achievement presented 4 totally different ways.
And by flexing your style like that, you make sure your message doesn't just, reach the listener. It actually enters through their preferred communication door.
Okay, we have the structure, the story, the context awareness. Now let's polish the language itself. Using power words, avoiding those cliches that just make people's eyes glaze over.
Exactly. Why say you're hardworking when you could say you're relentless. Or instead of helped, which is a bit weak, maybe transformed or empowered.
Stronger verbs?
Yeah, we're looking for alternatives like spearheaded or pioneered instead of just, worked on.
But hang on, isn't there a danger of sounding, I don't know, a bit over the top? If every sentence has some huge power verb.
Absolutely, yes. And what's fascinating here is this idea of the rule of proportionality. Use power words sparingly, maybe 1 or 2 per introduction.
Okay.
And crucially, make sure they honestly match the scale of what you did. If you claim you pioneered a new way to use the office coffee machine, people will just tune you out. Lose credibility instantly.
Right, keep it real.
And similarly, replace those dead-end cliches, like I'm a people person. What does that even mean?
Right.
Vary. Be specific. Replace it with an action. I actually get a lot of energy and fresh ideas from leading collaborative brainstorming sessions. Specificity beats cliche every time.
And to make sure that introduction actually leads somewhere, turns into a real conversation, you need a hook at the end, something to make them want to know more.
Yes. The hook is what turns your monologue into a dialogue. It could be a surprising statistic related to your work, maybe a contradiction like you mentioned earlier. I'm a quiet financial analyst who also does stand-up comedy.
Intriguing.
Or even just a leading open question related to your intro. But here's the key. You absolutely must have that promised story or explanation ready to go. You generated curiosity. Now you have to deliver.
Don't leave them hanging. Okay, now for what sounds like the most advanced technique in the sources. Cultural code switching. Adjusting not just language, but the whole cultural style, that sounds incredibly difficult to pull off.
It is challenging, definitely.
Yep.
But it's so essential, especially in international settings or even diverse domestic ones. The big mistake is assuming that, say, high confidence works universally.
Right.
So if you introduce your new project in, let's say, a typical American business context, you own it.
Yeah.
This project, it's going to revolutionize our marketing outreach.
Confident. Direct. Okay. But take that exact same phrase, same confidence, into a Japanese business meeting.
Big mistake. You'll likely be seen as boasting, maybe even disrespecting the team effort. Humility is highly valued there. So the same project might be introduced with more deference. I was given the opportunity to contribute to this exciting new strategy, and I truly hope we can achieve positive results together. See the shift.
Wow. Yeah. Huge difference. What about British culture? The sources mention humor.
Yes, subtle humor and a touch of self-deprecation often go down well. A slight understatement of achievements, perhaps wrapped in wit. Meanwhile, in many Latin cultures, the sources suggest the introduction should really focus on warmth, establishing personal connection first. Build that rapport before you start listing credentials.
So it's the same person, same achievements, but potentially 4 very different introductions needed just to connect properly.
Exactly. That's code switching.
And connecting this back to delivery, especially now, with so much happening virtually, the energy level required is different online, isn't it?
Hugely different. The sources point out that virtual intros need about 100% of your energy. Why? Because the camera seems to drain about 30% of your perceived presence. You have to consciously project more.
A good tip. You would dial it up.
And you can actually harness psychology right before you even speak, using power poses.
Power poses, like the superhero stance.
Pretty much. Standing in a confident, expansive pose, hands on hips, maybe the victory V shape, for just 2 minutes. Research shows it can actually change your hormone levels, boosts testosterone, which is linked to confidence, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone.
Huh. So it's not just feeling confident, it's physiological.
It's physiological preparation. It actually works.
Okay, let's try and bring all these pieces together now. How can we apply these techniques to tackle some really common real-world challenges people face? Like career changes. If you're switching fields, that resume can look a bit chaotic. How do you make it sound coherent?
Great question. You have to focus relentlessly on transferable skills and demonstrate the connection. Don't frame it as this jarring jump. Frame it as an evolution.
Okay, evolution.
Show how, for instance, the intense attention to detail you learned in banking is now absolutely critical for developing precise, real-world math applications as a teacher you've become.
Ah, connecting the dots.
Or how maybe the precision you mastered in engineering perfectly sets you up for success in, say, methodical culinary arts.
Yeah.
It's about finding that thread. Continuity, not chaos.
That makes sense. What about age challenges? If you're a young professional trying to establish credibility.
You have to lean into results and preparation. Overcome that perception of inexperience. Something like, in my first year, I led 3 successful projects independently and actually developed the protocol for X. concrete achievements.
Okay. And conversely, if you're maybe starting something new later in your career.
Then you emphasize wisdom, stability, life experience. Frame it as a strength. My diverse background across 3 different industries brings a truly unique sort of panoramic perspective to this role. Leverage that breadth.
Nice framing. Now, to make sure all this detail actually sticks in the listener's mind, we should probably touch on the rule of 3.
Oh yeah, simple but incredibly effective. People just tend to remember things in 3s, whether it's your core passions, your key strengths, your main achievements.
Like,
Like, I'm really passionate about 3 things: education, equality, and finding the perfect cup of espresso. It's memorable, catchy.
Okay. And finally, let's revisit the credibility stack. We talked about the elements: education, experience, results, recognition. But how do you layer that in subtly without sounding like you're just reading off your LinkedIn profile?
Subtlety is definitely the advanced skill here. The key is you never deliver all 4 pieces at once. That would sound like bragging.
Right.
Instead, you layer them organically, maybe over a 10, 15-minute conversation. You might open with a quick result that's element 3. Later, if prompted, you tell a story highlighting your experience, element 2. Maybe you only mention your specific education, element 1, if its relevance actually comes up naturally later in the chat.
So spread it out. Let it emerge.
Exactly. Delivered conversationally, spread out over time. It builds deep trust and credibility without ever feeling like you're overtly boasting.
That is really practical advice. And I guess that brings us to the final challenge for you, the listener, because these techniques, they only work if they become second nature, right?
Absolutely. Practice is everything.
Yeah.
The sources really push you to prepare 3 distinct versions of your introduction.
3 versions. Okay, what are they?
First, the 10-second micro-introduction. Just your punchy tagline and key differentiator. Super quick.
Okay, 10 seconds.
Second, the 30-second elevator pitch. That's your full 5-component structure we talked about.
The core message.
And third, the 2-minute full introduction. This is where you can weave in that star story, maybe add more examples, and really articulate your full vision.
10, 30, and 120 seconds. Got it.
Practice those until they feel completely natural.
We have covered a lot of ground today, from basic structure all the way through to some pretty advanced cultural and psychological tactics. It might feel dense, but I think the biggest takeaway shouldn't actually be about complexity. Maybe it's more about authenticity.
That is absolutely right. When people hear about using this much strategy, they often worry, will I sound fake?
Yeah, like you're performing.
But the strategy is there to serve your authenticity, not replace it. Good preparation actually allows your natural self to shine through, because you're no longer stressing about what to say. You can just focus on how to connect with the person in front of you.
That's a great point. Preparation frees you up to be yourself. And we should also remember the conversation continuer tip as you finish your perfectly crafted introduction.
Don't just stop.
Right. End with an invitation for them to respond. Something like, what changes have you noticed in your field recently that excite you? Turn it back to them.
Exactly. Ensure that successful monologue immediately transitions into the dialogue you want.
So you listening right now, you basically have the full toolbox now. The structure, the stories, the cultural awareness, even that power pose confidence boost.
Yeah. And the sources remind us, every single introduction is a potentially massive opportunity. It could lead to a job, a friendship, maybe even a life partner. You have the knowledge you need.
Yeah.
And remember, ultimate success comes from movement, from doing it, not from achieving some unattainable perfection.
You have the words, you have the techniques, you have the confidence. The world really is waiting to meet the real you.
So the final thought is this. The best introduction isn't the theoretically perfect one you keep planning in your head but never actually say. It's the one you deliver. So please, start today.